You're listening to The Principled Entrepreneur with Caleb and Jody Moore, where we dive into real stories of grit, growth, failures, and victories. Every conversation is about the journey and what it really takes to build your business and your life on purpose and principle. Hey everybody, thank you for joining The Principled Entrepreneur. Jody and I just got done interviewing Floyd Brantley, a World War II veteran and soon to be 100 years old. It was a fabulous interview that you will thoroughly enjoy, and we can't wait to show you and tell you more about it. Mr. Floyd, thank you for being here today. Mr. Floyd Brantley, by the time that this airs, you will turn 100 years old.
That's correct.
That is correct. That is incredible. So I can say I haven't met too many 100-year-old men or women, so this is an honor for you to be here today. And I can say I have not met very many World War II veterans as well. So again, Jody and I are just honored that you're here today and
very much.
And could tell some stories about your life and experiences and kind of give some hope and some wisdom to all these other younger hoodlums out there listening, right? So,
right.
Yeah. So, Mr. Floyd, I think the first thing, we'll just kind of start at the beginning here. You have such a great history that I don't want to leave anything else in the time that we have together. So, this started in Texas, right?
Correct.
As a boy, that's where you were born and raised, and kind of in that Great Depression era. So walk me through family back in when you were a boy in Texas.
Okay, I was born in 1925, and it was during the Depression or before Depression, and there was four of us siblings, and so I grew up, and I have a very long memory. I been diagnosed when I was 95 with what they call the double longevity gene, and the agent doctor said, "Mr. Brent, you have a very long memory."
That's great.
I said, yes, I do. And, she said, how far back can you remember? I said, I remember when I was 4 years old in Nacogdoches, Texas. And my parents had me on a stump of a tree. And that stump 2 years ago is still there.
Wow.
And I remember that and very definite. And she said, how far can you go further back? So I teased a lot. I said, yes, I can. I said, I remember when I was born, I came out, I weighed myself, and I weighed 10 pounds. No, you didn't do that. I said, well, I did weigh 10 pounds.
So you got a long memory. Maybe not that long, but you got a long memory.
No. But anyway, so there was, early in life, there was a lot of conflict, a lot of problems in the family, and so then about 12, my mother and father separated and left, and so I was had to work to make a living,
and that was unusual for back then, right? I mean,
right.
you don't hear that very often.
Yeah. So we owed a milk bill, so I hadn't been paid. So I had to work on a milk truck for 2 quarts of milk a day and get up early. And then I worked in a grocery store on the weekend and had about 3 jobs and trying to study and stay in school.
And so it was you and you had 3 siblings, right? And then you had your mother. And you were taking, and I'm guessing others had
left,
they had already left?
Yeah.
Okay.
And worked at fire department, but anyway, they left early.
So you were making a living for you and your mother.
And then she went on what we call the WWII, and they gave us food and kind of things like that. And so I grew up and always worked and tried to, and but anyway, so I went ahead and dropped out of school when we got to notice that I was. But the odd thing is, my brother was killed in 1942, and I was 14, I guess. I was a basketball manager and went down to Beaumont, Texas to play. And the coach sitting there on Saturday morning, he kept looking at me and reading the paper, and he come by and said, "Floyd, your brother been killed." I said, "What?" And it said, outstanding Texas football player killed in action. So as a kid, I had to learn that my brother was killed that way.
From the paper, the local paper is how you found out.
All-state football player from Nacogdoches State killed in action.
Wow.
And so I asked him, he said, "We can put you on a bus, or we got one more game tonight, so we can go back tomorrow." So I went back on Sunday in a pickup. Of course, we had to go down a pickup truck. But anyway, so that's the way I learned.
So then he died in the southern or Pacific realm, Guadalcanal. Is that right?
Yeah. He was a Navy torpedoman, and the Battle of Guadalcanal, and he was on a ship very fast. It's a thin type, yes, Atlanta. It was not built for close battle, and it was just a few yards from Jeopardy, so they had a really battle. More Navy people killed Guadalcanal than there was soldiers. Because we lost so many ships.
Wow.
Sunk so many ships.
And he was on the USS Atlanta.
Yeah.
Atlanta. Wow.
And,
so you found out that he had passed away through the paper.
Yeah.
And did you have to go and tell your mother that you had found out?
Yeah.
During the paper.
She got the telegram.
She got the telegram.
And but the odd thing before then, she would write my brother, and she says, "Son, go up on your bicycle and to the post office, mail this letter to your brother." And so she write him every few days, and they would I go mail them, and then to get notice. And I noticed another man uptown. He would knock on the doors, and they would there'd be a blue star in the window, and then you could hear people crying. Back in those days, they give you a telegram, you sign for it. They don't say anything. So they would get the telegram, "Your son's been killed in service." And then a few months later, then they knock on my mother. This old house lived on Mountain Street in Nacogdoches, and then she received that. But the really a sad thing is all those letters they wrote, then they start coming back in packages, and the ship sunk, and all the letters from Mother Wright had returned. And then I still got letters that never been opened. So then the letters from my brother got his DNA all over them. So all the letters that he wrote to her and me, still got copies of.
You still have all of those.
And,
wow.
Anyway, so multiply that by 400,000 would kill World War II. So same thing happened all over the United States. They get these letters back, and but a lot of times the person be missing for years, and then they find out he's alive. And but anyway.
Wow. So what were you feeling when you got the first initial information about your brother, that he had been killed? What was going through you?
Well, I remember the also that building's still there, the YMCA. We staying there, and it was after Christmas, and they still take down a Christmas tree, and then the coach brought that, and my reaction, I can't believe that he's gone. And but anyway, so then I got back. I don't know why I wasn't notified. They could telegram or something, but my mother got the message on Thursday, and this I got the paper ready on Saturday morning. So, at 2 days there, that I don't know why they couldn't notify me that
Right.
but
So then you get you get a letter in the mail a couple years later as the fighting continues. World War II is continuing to go on. You get the letter from the U.S. military saying that they want you to join. Is that right?
yeah,
And then
they called the draft board.
the draft board. So
And
now
I
you're
was 18, already registered, and that's when I was a year behind school, and so the directs at the bottom she typed, Mr. Brand, we will defer you to the end of this semester. And I thought, well, I won't go on the end. So I knew my mother would want me to take it. So I cut it off. I went in. I said, Mother, I'm sorry that I got to go to war. And she said, well, son, I'm hoping, son, I already lost one son, and I'm hoping that you somehow would be able to graduate to high school. And so I apologized to her later. But I kept that little piece of paper and billfold. I was over there in Russell Island, and I look at it. I could still be back in Lufkin, Texas high school.
right.
But
So I mean,
anyway,
you're just barely 18 years old,
yeah, barely.
and you get the letter. You could have postponed it.
I could have stayed
You
at
could have
the end of
stayed.
that one semester,
So
but I
it'd been another
still
couple
couldn't have
months.
graduated.
Right.
A year behind.
So you have to go and tell your mother
Yeah.
after this horrific event of losing a son
Yeah,
that her other son is going into the same.
yeah.
Same war.
He already been killed.
And so how that was a tough conversation. I can't imagine that.
Yeah.
I mean, if there's a movie, Saving Private Ryan,
Yeah.
and that movie, there's 5 brothers and all of them pass away during that time period, and then they go after the one, right, Ryan,
Yeah.
the privates, and so I can imagine that's my only visual that I can imagine, like of how bad that
There
was.
was the 5 Southern brothers, and I went to a meeting years ago, and one of the men was on a raft with the Southern brothers, and he described it. He said, all out on a boat, and George Sullivan would call their brother's name. Where are you? Where are you? And they argued live. So finally, the last one, which this man was on, he said he fell off and drowned. So all of them, 5 Southern brothers. And after then, that's when they stopped letting brothers serve together.
I gotcha. That because I mean it just.
Can you imagine?
I know I can't. I mean
They get it telegram that
it's all 5. Yeah, no, I can't. And even just one, just in your story, just one, and then another one is heading that way.
See,
yeah,
a lot of them, they send 5 off, all come back. Some send 3 off, and 1 don't come back. In our case, we had 3. My brother in service, Coast Guard. So she had 3, and 1 didn't come back. So
right. That's tough.
Still tough.
So you were assigned to be a Navy corpsman working with the 1st Division Marine Corps.
Right.
Is that correct? So describe to our listeners, because even I had to do some research, what exactly is a Navy corpsman? Like, what would your job be?
Navy corpsman he does the same thing as a nurse. He's a sister to the doctor, where they give shots and he help the wound and so forth. And then, so actually you have 3 people. You have the doctor dealing, and then you have a nurse, and then it's corpsman. So they're all working to help that officer. And but it happens so often when those men come in, and they've often, some of them be crying, some be laughing, some will talk. They have, but anyway, one thing that always come out is the question, why me? And a lot of them say, why me? And I am wounded, but I'll get well and go home and marry my sweetheart. But my buddy Mike, he was killed right next to me.
Mm.
And he often wrote about how he looked forward to returning home. But he won't be going back.
Right.
What I mean, so the question in their minds and all the time, they won't talk about it. What I mean, how come I'm living and him? So you multiply by 200, 400,000 happened. And many of those had letters wanting to come back. In case my brother, he was going to come back. He used to write, I'm going to marry this beautiful Lutheran lady in Seattle, Washington. Well, they won't be going back. So you take point all these letters that
Right.
they want to go back home, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So as you're 18 years old,
Yes.
you're on the ship, right? So all these, and this is Saipan, right? So
No,
this is
I was on the Fleet Hospital.
you're on the Fleet Hospital, right? So, okay, so you're on the Fleet Hospital, and so you're at Saipan, which is one of the most brutal
Yeah,
parts of the Pacific fronts, right there. And so they would all these. I mean, my notes are, it was an estimated 3,400 U.S. soldiers died,
that's right.
and about 30,000 Japanese soldiers died.
And what we do, the fleet, the foreman, I'm one of that group, they go in and then they would take care of the wounded. And the first goal is wounded. And then the deceased take later. And, but they take them to a field hospital for a few hours or a few days. And then they bring them to the fleet. That's where I was.
Mm-hmm.
So those soldiers come in, sometimes still be sand in the boots. But anyway, so you lifted off the beach into a kind of temporary field hospital, and then from there to the Fleet Hospital.
To the Fleet Hospital.
Yeah.
I got you. And so go ahead.
Well, how long did you serve at the Fleet Hospital? About how long did you serve?
I was there year.
Okay.
About a year.
And then where did you head after that?
Well, the war ended. In that case, they came in and said the war is over, and so everybody was happy.
Yeah.
So we started tearing down the hospital, and all the wounded already been shipped out. All the men, others. Well, come in, it was 13 of us corpsmen left, and we were stranded.
Oh.
All the ships have been loaded to take troops and everyone back. So we had no way. So finally, after a few weeks, there was a merchant ship came in, and the captain went down and said, "Look, I'm trying to get 13 corpsmen out of here." And said, "Well, I tell you what to do. We won't be going to Guam for a few weeks. We'll be stopping at Marshalls and other islands. You can put them on our ship. They can sleep outside, and we will feed them." So we got out.
Wow.
Last 13 people.
Last 13 people.
Wow.
And now all corpsmen.
Wow.
Wow. That's intense. You're thinking if you're ever going to leave the island or not.
Yeah.
So I want to go back real quick to Saipan, because that's some place that many people don't understand how fierce that fighting was. But some of the stuff that you and I talked about before we started is the intensity after the battle is over, because I don't think what a lot of people understand is that the propaganda that the Japanese were using at the time was that the U.S. were going to come in and they were going to torture and brutalize, and it was the civilians, the Japanese civilians that were on the island were terrified of what was going to happen, and so many of them committed suicide.
That's right. They got a big cliff, and they would take the kids and jump off that big cliff.
Wow.
Because they knew they're going to be.
Wow.
But it was not anywhere close to reality. I mean, none of that. The U.S. wasn't being brutal or anything. And matter of fact, you have a great picture. Can you walk me through that picture real quick, because I think that speaks volumes right there.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And
Here, I can hold it.
but how? And I got pictures of where we've got Japan, the American soldier would feed small children that's starving. and they knew they scared to get close to the soldier, but he would feed his own food to these, and I couldn't find that picture, but they always take care of the enemy.
So let me just describe the picture to the audience. So there's a picture, and it looks like it's on a ship, and there are seamen that are standing in a big circle around Japanese captives, and they look like younger boys, and you can tell that they're obviously terrified. And there's one seaman who has a metal hat on, and his arm is around one of the Japanese boys as a comforting, because they're obviously they're scared. Like they don't know if their parents are alive. They don't know if they're going back home. Their home's probably been destroyed, and here they are in what they perceive as the enemy. I mean, in a way, I guess the U.S. was, but the arms around the boy, and so they were given food and everything else. And I think you had an experience while you were trying to help one of the boys out. You had several experiences. You want to tell the audience about the time where you were talking to the young man who was that y'all sang something together?
The Japanese.
Yes.
Yes. It was a Christmas day, and we had this one Japanese young kid, and he had slipped down to steal food from the mountain, and we kept him, and we put him we didn't have a regular guard, so we made a wire fence and put him inside this fence, and I told to go out and check on him if wound or feed him. And I went out and I walked around, and wherever I walked, he followed me. But he wouldn't take eyes off of me. He kept looking. And wherever I would stop, he would stop and just stare at me, because he knew most likely I was going to do harm to him. So he ready to maybe defend himself. But wherever I walked down that 10-foot, and I noticed the gate was not locked. So he kept looking down, I kept looking at the gate. So I eased over and locked the gate. But he stood there watching me. And but I thought at the time, I was 18, I thought, his parents, he's just a kid. They don't know where he's dead or alive. And I'm sure they home praying for him too. And but another time we got a ship of ammunition coming in, and some of the corpsmen volunteered to help unload them. Well, the Japanese would pick up 2 cases, and we pick up 1, but they would unload that ship with them, and but they would.
And there is a time where there was a Japanese boy who was, I think you were checking on he was wounded or something, and he could speak. Yeah, he could speak a little bit of English.
No, he could not speak.
Not that one, but there was another one. I thought you said that he could speak a little bit of English. And
that's the one that I talked to when it was sung.
Yes. Yeah. You want to tell them about the what?
Yeah. Anyway, as one day, a lot of these wounded men are coming in, and the captain said, "Everyone, attention! I want your doctors, your medic, you take care of all these wounded men out here. However, if some local natives come in wounded, so maybe fell out of a coconut tree or been shot or whatever, you may take care of him, not first, but as you get through the other patient." So I'd sit down with this kid, about 16, and he was sitting there and had big rings in the nose and the ears, and kind of looked at me, and I tried to find out where he could speak any Latin, any kind of English, so we could understand. And so I asked him, I said, "Do you speak English?" "Yes, some." And I said, are you a Christian? Yes, I'm Christian. Who told you about Christ? Presbyterian missionaries. They've been here for years, and they told us about Christianity. And he said, he kept smiling.
Mhm.
I said, what about your parents? What they do? We are headhunters. And I noticed he kept
Like
looking,
literally headhunters,
Yeah.
right?
he
Yeah.
kept looking at my head. And I said, what? And he said, we no longer headhunter, we're Christian.
Wow.
I didn't ask him how many head it had at home.
No, I don't think you want to know that answer.
No. But anyway, so he said, he suggests, let's sing Christian song. I didn't suggest, he did. So I said, well, Amazing Grace, yes, Amazing Grace. So we started singing. He sung his language. I sung, Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. And
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, you're okay.
And I forgot. And anyway, so anyway, sorry.
Wow.
No, you're okay.
That's wonderful.
But anyway, so everyone within 10 feet, they be patient, look, and kind of singing. The others got quiet, and they didn't know where the noise coming from. But it all right there in that far right corner. And but anyway, so I bandaged his leg up, but that song Amazing Grace. So
He knew it. He knew that song all those many miles away from, and so did you. So that's like the language that you both could speak, right?
yeah,
Was Amazing Grace.
yeah.
And then you heard stories of other Christian Japanese soldiers, that were that wouldn't kill American soldiers.
No, this particular one has been also that is true story. This Marine was hand-to-hand fighting with, and it's happened on an island not too far from where I'm located. And so this Japanese, which he was tall for a Japanese, and he had this American Marine down, and he already had his arm cut, and it started to finish killing him. And so he stopped and in broken English said, I cannot kill, I am a Christian. And he left there bleeding. And so they tested him out to make sure he would tell the truth or something like that. So it went through the interrogation to make sure it's a true story, not a make up. Mm-hmm. And so he passed and so the government authorized that it is a true story.
Wow.
And so you had Christian in Japan, before the war.
That's right.
Yeah.
The missionaries there obviously had spread the word, and it was
That's right.
infiltrating the Japanese culture there. It's pretty amazing, So after the Saipan, you finally got off the island, and now before you actually took off though from the military, you met a young lady by the name of Elizabeth Beth Pearson. Is that right?
Yeah.
And so that was at church one night, right before you left. So tell us about your meeting with her.
This was, of course, during the World War II. I came out and I stayed in reserve, and then I switched to the Air Force, went to Baylor. And when I got the commission, they said, go back home and you'll be called within a month or so. So I got a part-time job. And so they asked me, I was 27, I guess, 28. So they said, Floyd, you being an usher at the First Baptist Church, you remember there? And I had a youth revival, some kind of revival. So I said, well, okay, I'll be there. So I was showing people where. So these young ladies, about 19, walked in late as usual. So,
Late as you.
so I escorted down to the front row. She said, no, too close. That's not the last time I said no. So I brought her back in the middle, and then, when she started outdoors, so I rushed over and introduced myself. I said, thank you for coming to service tonight. She said, you're welcome. So we visit. I introduced myself. So we sit there and talk. And I thought, well, I know that a lot of eggs if I'm on ice cream wife. So I asked for a date. And next Tuesday night. And she agreed. I was surprised. She agreed. And then I got thinking, well, I know she's going to steady someone, so I better line up another date. So I lined up to another date. And she said, Floyd Brantley, you lined up 3 dates in a row. And I said, well, I got you away from your steady boyfriend. So you got plenty ahead.
You got to plan ahead.
So I was telling him, I said, years later, I said, honey, how come you married an older person? So the boy my age was silly.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted a more mature
person, more mature man.
She wanted a more mature person, and she had to end up marrying an old silly man anyway.
Well, so you were married to
67 years.
67 years. Wow.
Congratulations.
That's incredible. So, and Beth was her name, right?
Yeah.
And you had how many children?
We got 2 children, one adopted, and then Charles got Charles.
Okay.
And then I got 3 grand, and I got about 5, 6 great.
That's amazing. That's
2
amazing.
twins.
Oh,
But anyway.
love that.
So, there's a movie that I just love. Jody and I, we show this movie. We watch this movie with our boys sometimes because it's such a good kid-friendly movie. And it's Secondhand Lines, and Robert Duvall is in it. And he plays an older man who spent a lifetime basically in war.
Yeah.
And he came out of that obviously with a lot of baggage, but he met a woman and he fell in love, and the story kind of is about his love life with his wife the short time that he knew her and this battle. So he goes and he tells the boy in this movie a part of a speech, and I wanted to tell you this speech and tell me if you agree with it, because it made me think of you.
Okay.
It says, sometimes the things that may or may not be true are the things that a man needs to believe in the most. That people are basically good. That honor, courage, and virtues mean everything. That power and money and power mean nothing. That good always triumphs over evil. And I want you to remember this, that love, true love, never dies. Doesn't matter if any of this is true or not. You see, a man should believe in these things because these are the things worth believing in.
I agree 100%. Very, very good stuff.
And it sounds to me like you live that too, right?
Yeah.
With your wife.
Well, as I was telling earlier, that no marriage are perfect. You're gonna have some problem. But she was very unusual. She was a beautiful lady in and out, and she had beautiful skin. She very seldom had any kind of course, she got older, had very few wrinkles. But anyway, she'd always, if I did something or said something I shouldn't have said, she wouldn't say, Floyd Brantley, and so away. She'd get quiet. I'd look, and that pretty face wasn't so pretty. And I'd still see the words, Floyd, honey, we need to talk. About what?
About what?
Yeah. And then I knew something was up. And she would start out that the way I understood. She didn't say I did it, but the way she understood what I'd said was wrong. Or what I did was sinful. And then I got, well, I'm sorry. So I always sit down, discuss it, and pray about it. But once it's settled, that subject never brought up. It's forgiven. Don't bring it up. So she never come back 2 weeks and say, you remember what you said 2 weeks ago? It's over. And she never did argue. She didn't like it arguing. And but you try to argue with her, she wouldn't argue. She make her statement, and that's it.
That's it.
So don't try, And but anyway, she's that. But she more of an encourager. She would always build a person up, even though you did it wrong. But but you can do better. You got the ability to do better. Just like I taught school, a kid said, "I can't learn." You can learn, but we learn on a different level.
That's right.
And we all can learn. And I tell kids, stay with it. Don't try to drop out of school, anything like that. And I got a card I give a student about set your goal and stay with it. With God help, you can achieve that goal.
Yeah.
And I go on the campus, I ask kids to say the pledge and my flag hold up. And some of them, they halfway said, I said, you left 2 words out. What did I leave out? Under God. You go back and say it correctly and then put God in your heart at the same time.
Oh, that's
Don't just say it. Put it in your heart. I like that. That's
But
good.
Anyway.
sounds like she was a positive, like,
Oh, yeah, she was really.
good influence on you as well.
I'm very.
So after the war, you talked about, hey, things in your relationship, some marriages are not always easy, and sometimes it would have sounded like after the war got over with, and you get back into the private sector, and you look for a job. You're a teacher.
Yeah.
And how much were you making a year?
Well, in Texas, they make about 3,000 a year.
3,000 a year.
Yeah, a year.
Wow.
If you want a better job, you go out down to Houston or out West Texas. They maybe be 1,000 more, but East Texas, so that's so I had an opportunity to go work for a publishing company, and that's when we had to move to Arkansas.
Was that hard? I mean, those months, years that you were working for $3,000 a month, how did y'all?
Well, my wife, she worked in a bank. She was a bank teller, and then I worked in the summer, different kind of work. But so I wanted a better job where she could stay home, raise the kids,
So,
Well, is that when you got into sales? I hear that you also were a book salesman. Is that right?
Yes.
Was that when you moved to Arkansas? You became a book salesman?
Yeah. I quit teaching when I accepted this job with this publishing business.
Okay.
And the original company called Steck kind of at Austin, they published a paperback book called Work Text. And that Arkansas, they adopt hardback. So then I changed from Steck to a Prentice Hall at Silvernet, and that's when we had hardback book.
Nice. Yes. The real stuff.
So Simon and Schuster, you worked for them for...
See, Simon & Schuster, they had a textbook division. Of course, they have the regular publishing business, all the other books, but they owned it for a while. And then Time Life bought us out. So back those days, they were different companies buy out book business.
Yeah.
You had mentioned something earlier about family. You said you were she was working at a bank, but you wanted to get a job to where she could stay home and take care of the family, right? Looking back on that time period and looking at today's time period, what do you see the differences in family principles today from then to now?
Well, of course, today you almost have on account of the economy, you almost have to have both working. Mm-hmm. Now, my wife, she left to work, so she raised a few years. Then she got a job where the bank wanted to hire. since she had parents. But I encouraged her to continue her education, and so she left to work. So she became a teacher and librarian, and but she want to make sure the war would.
But do you think that that mindset is still here today, where it comes to the family? You think that people, well, I just wanted to see from you raising boys and a family back in the 50s and 60s and stuff like that, and you look at it today from raising families, is there a wide difference between how you raised then to you raise now, or is it actually really similar?
Well, in similar in a lot of ways, is what you're teaching the kids, and what they're exposed to much more than we were back in those days. Young kids, they're exposed to the phonograph and TV and the games and all that.
Right.
So you really got to bring the kids in and try to teach them right things in life and all that. And so it's so much, it's like, we're at war, and I explained this, we're at war against the evil with their own heart.
Mm.
We're at war against socialism. We're at war against communism. We're at war against the killing our kids with dope. I mean, we're a constant war. And I was like, of all the years I lived, there had been a war somewhere. And the scripture said there always be wars and rumors of war. So when I was born in 1925, there were some wars, some words called always fighting somewhere.
Right.
And so anything that, in other words, now and then we have instead of defense, we're got a war department. So war we're constant fighting, and we got to constant try to do our best to defeat what we're fighting.
And we're fighting today the battle for the youth, their hearts, their minds, and away from the distractions of what the TVs, all of the stuff that's in there.
To keep away from it.
So what advice would you give to parents in order to fight that battle?
Well, they need a lot of help to try to keep the kids close to the Lord as possible, and that they always have a home, to come back to. I talked to people, so I kicked out my kids. I said, you kicked them out? Yeah, they wouldn't work. Well, when they kick a kid out, they kick themselves out because that's their own flesh and blood.
Right.
So you always, why is it always protect your kids?
Mm-hmm.
She worked for the group called, in a state, you have a defense for the child when your parents go to court. Yeah. She defended that child because he had no defense. So anyway, she worked that, and she loved to defend children. She always.
Oh yeah, what a cause that would have been. I'm sure she saw some pretty hard things through that experience, but there's a lot of love she could have given those kids when they got, just like you did when you were talking about the kid in Japan. That kid had no telling when the last time somebody just looked at him and with kindness and compassion. And you got to think his parents were headhunters, literally. So what did he see?
But always loves your children, no matter what they've done. They're still yours. And I have a sticker I put on a lot of letters. Everyone needs a hug.
Everyone needs a hug.
Everyone needs a hug. And I talked to a man not long ago right here, and he said, I never been hugged. I never had a present from my parents. That's one. She never even touched me. She belonged to a cult that do not believe in loving. And
this is your card. Everyone needs a hug. I love this.
You love it.
Can I read what's on the back?
Yes.
It says, your smile is so uplifting and so wonderful to see. Your smile, it is so pure and real, and as sweet as it can be. Your smile, it shows your perfect, healthy teeth, so nice, so straight, and so pearly white. Your smile, it could brighten up a room or shine like silver in the night. Your smile, it's like a Christmas time when kids get that special toy. Your smile, it is such a blessing, so use it every day. You will never know what your smile can do to help a stranger along the way. So smile.
Okay, the new edition of what I did, I had them, they went to the floor and I said, "Men, put down your cell phone and look at your wife or sweetheart in the face and read this to them."
Wow.
And that would be their printed, so they put that on the new one.
I love that. Well, so I saw a baby picture of you.
Oh,
And it showed a picture of you smiling today, and it showed a baby picture of you smiling, and it was the same smile. It's the same.
I got that here.
It's
Yeah,
precious.
that's great.
So this is
Yeah.
a great platform for you to stand on. I will keep this.
Okay, so I feel like in this country right now, okay, after Jody got done reading that and hearing what you had to say, like I feel like we're at this we're divided, maybe more than ever. And you've lived through a war of World War II, which was great, but that almost unified us more, okay? But the greater divide that you lived through was Vietnam, and so Vietnam was really tearing the country apart. Do you feel similarities between today and how divided the country is and Vietnam when you experience that? Is there similarities there or not?
Well, I tell you, I've gone through a lot of things in the other years, and heartaches and pain, and the country, how they close together. But this is the worst that I ever seen, how divided we are on most everything, politics and things that are taking place. And I believe in trying to bring people together, and but I've never seen anything so division among every way, religion, politics, and everything. Everyone going separate ways.
Floyd, what have we lost along the way? What is the thing that is? I mean, I know you said politics and other religion, but I'm talking like there seems to be something there that we had in the greatest generation, in your generation, that we're missing today. And to me, the principles that come to my mind are honor, responsibility, patriotism. It seems like those things are non-existent or are not presented in a positive light today. Do you see that today? That those are kind of the things we're missing?
I believe in teaching patriotism in school, and in respect to the flag and all that. And it's somehow you got this division of they burning the flag, or they doing this. They got a hatred toward America, but yet they won't stay here and enjoy the privilege. But the different culture, that conflict, and so it's so much division among every aspect of it. And I had a non-Christian said, what we need in this country is a national revival to bring people back to God. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't a Christian, but he think that we need a religious reform to bring this nation back to God. Wow. And he will honor that if we will humble ourselves and give him the praise.
Do you feel like we're close to that revival? I mean, with Charlie Kirk and his past and his assassination, and you saw his memorial, and 20,000 people were there, and that was revival. Everybody that's been there used that one word, which was a revival.
That's right.
And you see this movement maybe within schools through his organization and others.
I see it coming.
Do you see it? Do you see hope on the horizon?
Yeah, I see some hope in revival. The Sunday after he was killed, I went to a church, Second Baptist Church there, and I drove, no parking space, every parking space. 5 cars we drove. We finally leave. Come find out that more people after that, and someone said, well, it's because of the death shall occurred. So the church at that temporary time, more people went to
Right.
church that following Sunday.
Yeah.
Right.
And but anyway, I feel there's hope, for America, and I think our leadership is trying to do its best to bring that hope.
And try to bring that
Yeah.
unity
Yeah.
back.
What I see that you've all, I'm just going to connect the dots here from what you're speaking about towards parenting and how it was different in your day compared to today. And you said, bring them in close, teach them the ways of the old generation so they will pass on and not let culture teach them, but the parents' responsibility.
Parents, yeah.
And because we're not maybe doing that could be why there is so much division
Yeah.
and what we're
Well,
experiencing this day.
I think the family needs to get close together, and no matter what that kid did,
Yeah.
he should never give up on your child.
Never give up.
Never. And always protect and love that child. And keep him from. I have a card, my wife, I put on that. Always, there's nothing greater than that child. Always love and protect them against evil of any sort. And let scripture down below that.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
Yeah, so it starts with God and the family unit.
That's right. It's so important.
It is.
And but there is.
That's wisdom right there.
So Floyd, one of the things that Jody and I, we started the podcast is because we feel like there's entrepreneurs, business owners, founders who are struggling in their business, struggling in life. It's hard to run a business. It's hard to deal with people on a daily basis and be responsible for writing the paychecks and making a living, plus be the husband and the wife and the father and the mother that they need to be. So you've experienced so much in your life, the highs, the lows, everything else. So if you were going to talk to somebody that was struggling in life, what advice would you give them right now?
Well, I would say keep working, ask God to help, and try to get close to Him, and to be encourage yourself more than anything. And I have a card I'll leave that with you, and put God first, and don't let people discourage you. To stay away from those that discourage you, and go for it. And you can make it, whatever that goal in life is, and be the best you can. If you want to be a truck driver or whatever, work for it and do the best you can on that job.
Right.
And stay with it.
And I've been kind of listening and studying and doing a lot when it comes to purpose. Okay. And it sounds to me like what you're telling me is like there's this purpose that God gives us.
That's right.
And it's our job to ask for that purpose, and He will show us what that purpose is. And then once you find it, doesn't matter what it is. You could be a truck driver, you could be an electrician, you could be a business owner, but go do it, right? Don't let the discouragers out there keep you down.
That's right. Well, I say that, I believe God has a purpose for everything. Whatever He made, He owns a purpose. And I tell the young ladies, no, you do not own your body. You cannot go. God created you for a purpose, and you are destroying that body when you have abortion. And we don't always follow God's plan. We go our own ways. And but it's a plan for everything. And
and I bet that was, that must have been hard as, you think about your life and you go back to some of the wars that you were in and the things that you saw, and you were having to tell, men, their pain in their leg wasn't pain. They didn't have a leg, and then the other men are saying, why me?
Yeah.
Why me? And the other guy not.
My buddy,
So, and your buddy's not there. So so the purpose, though, you still believe through all of that up and down that God's purpose is still presence
Yeah.
in all of that.
Now, we don't always understand.
That's
God's
right. We
plan.
don't.
We
Yeah.
don't understand.
There's no way to.
Someone said, why did this flood take these twins away? Why did they lost a child? Is that God's purpose? We don't understand why people are swapped away, lose all the kids in a flood, so on. We don't understand that, the purpose of it.
That's right.
And,
But we do understand that he loves us.
Yeah, that's right.
And he gave a sacrifice in of himself. He understands what it is to lose a child too, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that's just great advice. Anyway.
I'd like.
Yeah, can you show us what you brought over
Oh,
here? Just
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
Speaking
no,
of,
when I was, I didn't fail. When we were selling out from Pier 34 in San Francisco, the Gideon Bible, they gave us that, and still got underlined, and in it, it says, do not put anything in it such as your station, only your name, no, and nothing else. But anyway, so as we sailed out on the ship, and I got a picture of that ship, and several thousand men on it, and the first thing that said, gentlemen, we will be sailing, and you do not know where you're going. Mm. And so the captain would not tell us where we're going. Mm. And they said, some of you will not come back. Some of you come out wounded. And but a lot of the young sailors, they pulled out a testament, and they started reading it. They said, I may be one of those that don't come back. So a lot of young sailors, they start reading the New Testament. And then as you get out, the second day, the captain said, we are going to an island you never heard of. It's called a Frankfort, New Caledonia. It's a Frankfort. And when we land, there'll be troops getting ready to go to the battle. And that's a station there, what's called a station area. New Caledonia. And from there, you will be distributed to different islands. Some will be fighting, some will be at Fleet Hospital. But anyway, so a lot of the men started reading the scriptures when they realized that they may be one of those that don't make it back. Mm-hmm. And many of those on that ship did not make it back. Right. Some of them came back wounded. And, but we, but it's an odd thing. We was half of these wounded men, and last the war was over, and some of us out playing touch football, mm-hmm. And I fell on my right arm and broke the elbow, and they sent me back home with all these wounded veterans on the hospital ship. Yeah. It was embarrassing to all these wounded men. Hey, how you get hurt? Well, I played football. I was shot here. Yeah. But it was embarrassing, all these wounded. We stopped at different towns on a train, hospital, ship. All the people come to read us. I didn't want to.
So you didn't want to tell anybody, yeah. It was tempting, probably not to make up a story, right? Yeah.
But they would get back and they would get off on a stretcher and kiss the American soil. They've been gone 34 years. They're so happy to the God-given country that we live in. But I have I got cards every day, 10, 15 cards. And this guy put on the being had to do what sign on his hand, and he that picture on the back, it went viral, and he called and said, "Man, we'll give you a party." I said, "Who are you?" He said, "My name is Ben Carew. I said, "Where are you from?" "From Romania." And I came to this country at 8, 9 to learn the English language. And I landed in Chicago, and then the language there wasn't very good. but I learned it. So anyway, he goes around doing different things, and he had contacts all over the world. I don't know, but he put that picture on, and he said, send this poor veteran a birthday card. So now then I got close to 100 cards that
Wow.
coming in, but many of them say, God bless America, thank you, and they very patriotic, and how this country is, and but anyway, all these.
That's great.
I got a card from Scotland. I got one from London, England.
Wow.
But anyway,
That's great.
they emphasize patriotism
Sure.
and to go cards.
So one of the things that we always end on is we talk about what books meant most to you in your life. Like when you read a book, it stood out to you, and you sold books for years.
Yeah.
For 20 years, you sold books. So I'm sure you've read, and you're very educated, and you promote education. Even to this day, you said you're trying to educate yourself on different things.
Yeah.
So give me a couple books that if you were going to tell somebody to go read, I figure that this Bible may be at the top of it, but the Bible and maybe one or two others, one that had meant a lot to you over the years.
Well, the one that I love history, world history, and kind of history, and of course the one that I talk about is the book that Unbroken.
Unbroken.
Have you read it?
I've watched the movie. I've not read the book, but watching the movie, it was hard to. I mean, it was such a good movie, but it's hard to watch. I mean, it's
right. Well, anytime the book is better than the film.
Oh, absolutely, I can imagine.
And it's very fast. That's one of the most famous books.
Yeah.
And I read a lot of world history, and but anyway, so much to learn when you go back and study different. I like nonfiction. I don't read much fiction, but I like nonfiction.
Yeah.
Some is true.
That's right. Me too.
And,
yeah.
I loved. So I had a lot of good books. I never can read them all, but
yeah, me either. I've got a stack of them. I'm supposed to read. I'll get to them eventually, but Unbroken was a good one.
Unbroken.
Yeah.
And but anyways, many others, and I take a lot of card funded courses on, as I said, to study the brain and the aging process, and it's and the different kind of one of the most interesting the God's Brain, and written by a Jewish doctor, and what takes place in the brain, and but it's really some interesting material.
I can't imagine. I'm reading something similar right now that it's about consciousness and about it's called Force versus Power, or Power versus Force, and it is about behavioral kinesiology and how it points to God or there being a maker, and so it's really fascinating. So the mind is incredible.
I read why you are who you are at really go into Texas, and about who you really are, and you think you really know yourself. But God knows more about you than you do.
Absolutely.
He knows what you think before you think it. In other words, so the brain is so powerful.
I agree.
That's interesting.
I just to cap off of it, I think we have identity crisis in this country, which leads to a purpose crisis, which leads to a break in the family and a break in traditional values. And so I agree with it.
My family always read. I mean, my children always read, because, early they loved to read. So we came from a reading family. So, some family, they don't read good books. They just read drunk.
Yeah.
That's right. We read ours every night.
We do. Yes. We have a 6-year-old, and we've been reading chapter books at night.
Oh, is that right?
And I'd say it's above his average level, but what he's grasping is to be able to creatively think about the story in his mind. And it's a way to end our night, and it's wonderful. I think we've already gone through 2, so it's a relatively new adventure for
The
us.
bigger book. We've been going
Big
through the
book.
small books, but we're going through the bigger books now.
But you know,
Yeah.
like, my wife, when she teaches that, even kids up to junior high, they like to be read too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
to me, you know,
It is.
Yeah.
you know,
And it's so good for the mind. So
I got from the book at why the way we learn, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
The way we learn.
The way we learn.
And,
Yeah.
and,
And that's really good. Well, Joni, do you have any other questions for Mr. Floyd?
I don't. I think I'm so glad that you brought these to look at it. This just gives us a great visual, and we'll have to put that up for everyone to see. No, your story is incredible.
It's very inspiring.
Yeah.
It's very inspiring, and
I'm sorry we don't have a birthday cake for you. I think I should have.
Yeah, hey, we've been going through a lot of birthdays at our house recently, so we should have plenty left over somewhere.
When is your actual birthday? Is it the 16th?
16.
Okay,
16th.
Yeah.
That's
100 years old on the October 16th.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, we had this big party at the New Life Church, and then we got one on the 25th at the Country Club.
Wow.
fun.
And
so you're gonna be full of parties
yeah,
in the next couple of weeks.
Sarah's supposed to be there.
Oh, Sarah.
Oh, Sarah Huckabee.
All right.
She I told her on the 29th, I said, Sarah, I know you're coming up for the 100, but I'd like you to come on up on my 99. She said, Floyd, I got a conflict that day. I said, you better be there next year. She said, I will.
So you got her scheduled a year in advance. You said, all right.
If something comes up different.
That's great. Governor Huckabee will be there. Well, thank you for your service.
You're
Number one, thank you for your sacrifice
Appreciate
and the example that you've given men around you, women around you, young men. You know, I think you're still being that example with the cards that you're given, with the encouragement that you give to others. And you're an example to me and others just to say, hey, doesn't matter how young or old you are, you can still be an encourager and still have that beautiful smile on your face. So we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so, and we appreciate you making it up here
Okay,
today.
good.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Floyd.